Good evening. Hopefully my mic is on there. You all can hear me. I feel like I need to explain my notes. I was laughing because these guys were amazing. I said, so remember as an anchor, right? I have a teleprompter, I've got a producer in my ear, and a technical director who's moving things forward. So I still get nervous when I'm in front of an audience, so bear with me. So Walter Lippmann is writing in the early part of the 20th century, before television, social media, and all of those things. But in his influential book, Public Opinion, he introduces this idea of the pictures in our heads to explain the way that we rely on shortcuts to help us make sense of the things that maybe we haven't experienced for ourselves. And these shortcuts are informed by our own cultural background, our socialization, societal norms, and our previous experiences. They're constructed and they're reinforced through our media consumption, okay? And they are the building blocks of stereotypes. Media literacy, broadly defined, is the ability to critically access, analyze, evaluate, and act upon the plethora of information that we absorb through a multitude of sources on any given day. Additionally, being media literate involves the ability to recognize the ways media can mold our perceptions of individuals and issues, potentially informing our thoughts and our opinions about those same things. So this presentation is really designed to introduce us to the basic concepts of that, with the idea of short-circuiting the negative impact of our inherent desire to take the shortcut to understanding, while simultaneously helping us navigate today's information overload with the goal of becoming more engaged and more intentional consumers in today's media marketplace. So at today's count, I think I have 7 different email accounts merging into one inbox on my phone. I have a personal Facebook page as well as 2 other Facebook pages I manage for 2 different student media outlets. I have accounts on at least 4 other social media platforms, plus LinkedIn. People can reach me through those email accounts, through messaging on those social media platforms, via one of the 3 GroupMes that I belong to, as well as via text, or in very rare cases, an actual phone call. If you add in those push notifications that pop up on our home and our locked screen that let you know you have a message or that there's breaking news, it can all feel a bit overwhelming. At the same time, we don't want to miss out on anything. My college-age daughter, Alexandra, is following the same news stories that I am, albeit through very different sourcing and platforms, often with really different perspectives on the issues and the individuals that are the focus of those stories, right? And the devices that provide our news and our information, and in some cases our infotainment, are called smart devices because of their ease of ability to connect to other devices. But that's not really the only reason they're smart, right? They're clever in the way that they allow the platforms and the apps and the browsers we use to listen and to learn. From a most basic standpoint, we all kind of understand how algorithms work at this point. Algorithm is a word that has become common use, right? Whoever dreamed that? We understand that idea of more for you, or because you looked at, you might also like, or you might also be interested in. And we get to tell streaming services which shows we liked or didn't like, so they can offer better suggestions moving forward. And those are really valuable and helpful tools. They're also limiting. Because while these devices and platforms do a great job at calculating what we are or might be interested in, they aren't so good at helping us broaden our horizons and explore beyond our comfort zone. That means we might be missing out on important perspectives in that larger public discourse that is happening around us. Sociologist Gay Tuckman is writing in 1978, and she uses this concept, symbolic annihilation, to examine how women were portrayed in mass media. And put simply, symbolic annihilation, which was coined by George Gerbner 2 years before, describes the absence of representation or underrepresentation of specific groups in media, and the ways in which that contributes to ongoing social inequalities. So Tuckman argued that the media reflect the dominant values of society and also play an important role in the process of socialization. So again, 1978, Tuckman noted that society's need for continuity and the transmission of dominant values is particularly acute in times of rapid change. She says, such as our time, again, 1978. She says, so in those times, individuals may need some familiarity with the past, and if society is to survive, they also have to be prepared to meet changing conditions. Maybe that sounds a little familiar for our times right now, right? So Tuckman found 3 specific ways that this symbolic annihilation works: omission, trivialization, and condemnation. Put simply, omission is exactly what it sounds like: exclusion or underrepresentation of a group, making them invisible to a bigger audience. Trivialization is to portray a group in a stereotypical or an unimportant role, diminishing their significance. And condemnation is to actively criticize or vilify a group with the goal of punishing those members of those groups who break traditional societal norms. And all of those processes are tied very closely back to Lippmann's pictures in our head, shortcuts to making sense of the world around us. And I've observed and analyzed all of those processes in my research on representation of Indigenous individuals, issues, and communities in news and other media. So then how do we shortcut those shortcuts? Well, I think with intentionality most of all. When wildfires in the Northeast and California and even Canada were making headlines nationwide, there was also a fire on Navajo Nation in Arizona. And I never heard about that fire in those other national headlines. It was only native news outlets and maybe some local outlets in Arizona that were reporting on that fire that was also affecting thousands of people. So we have to intentionally seek out and curate the sources of news and information beyond what's most readily available and beyond those sources that find us. Being mindful to seek out multiple viewpoints and perspectives on the issues and events that are making news. We deny ourselves really the opportunity to grow in our worldview and our perspective if we allow ourselves to remain in an echo chamber of analytics and algorithms. It's certainly easier to be spoon-fed more of the same. It's comfortable content that supports the view of the world as we understand it. But we can't attain a fully informed, authentic understanding of individuals and issues if we fail to actively and intentionally curate our own media environment. It's really easy to blame, and I say fill in the blank, liberal, conservative, mainstream media, right? But as media platforms multiply and diversify and offer a more individualized experience, it really is also necessary for us to accept some responsibility to curate the information coming at us in a way that allows us to short-circuit those shortcuts and go beyond a meme-based understanding of the world around us to build more authentic and fully informed pictures in our heads as we seek to inform our thoughts and opinions about the individuals and the issues that are making news in our notifications and across our social media platforms of choice. And just to end, I will share with you something I always share with my students. I say, if you think you're hearing an agenda in what I'm saying, you should think again. As a Native individual, my view of things is definitely a different perspective. And it's not my job to tell you what to think, but maybe offer some things to think about and put forward some questions to ask. And I think if I accomplish that, then maybe that's a good start. Thank you.